Making the headline tonight, the President of the National Assembly of Cambodia, Heng Samrin, has celebrated the achievement of signing a Memorandum of Understanding on the cooperation program between Cambodia, Vietnam and Laos for the 2020-2023 period. Cambodia and Vietnam are promoting the erection of the remaining 16% of border posts left to be demarcated as soon as possible. Taiwan is a part of China, and the 1.4 billion Chinese will not tolerate any challenges to the country's national sovereignty and territorial integrity, President Xi Jinping told his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden in a phone call. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I am Dekanin. The President of the National Assembly of Cambodia, Heng Samrin, has celebrated the achievement of signing a Memorandum of Understanding on the cooperation program between Cambodia, Vietnam and Laos for the 2020-2023 period. He said he is optimistic that Cambodia and Vietnam will continue implementing this MOU into practical activities and achievements for the benefit of both nations. EAC News reporter Darshana Gochin has the details.
During a meeting with the party Central Committee Secretary and Chairman of the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front, Do Van Chien, at the National Assembly building in Phnom Penh, National Assembly President Heng Samrin said the Vietnam Fatherland Front delegation has continued to promote friendly relations, traditional solidarity, and good cooperation between Cambodia and Vietnam, which has existed for a long time, particularly between the United Front for the Development of Motherland Cambodia and the Vietnam Fatherland Front. On the occasion, Do Van Chien congratulated Cambodia on its success in organizing the 5th Mandate Commune Sangkat Council election and praised the efforts of the royal government of Cambodia in launching effective measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. He also praised the growing friendship and cooperation between the two countries, despite all the difficult circumstances brought on by the global pandemic. He noted that the trade volume between Cambodia and Vietnam reached $9 billion in 2021 and added that he hopes it will reach $12 billion in 2022. National Assembly President Heng Samrin emphasized that the traditional friendship, solidarity, good neighborliness, and cooperation in all fields between Cambodia and Vietnam have been nurtured and built by generations of leaders and people who kept the best interests of both nations in mind. Over the past 5 decades, the two countries have made great achievements in the fields of friendship, solidarity, and comprehensive cooperation, particularly between the two countries' parties and governments. The National Assembly President further praised the excellent cooperation between Cambodia and Vietnamese governments in all fields, including the recent remarkable growth of bilateral trade. The two countries have successfully cooperated in the fight against COVID-19, allowing for the reopening of the country and resumption of economic and touristic activities. Darshana Gochin, EAC News.
Cambodia and Vietnam are promoting the erection of the remaining 16% of border posts left to be demarcated as soon as possible in order to stabilize the two countries' borders, transform them into a zone of peace, and to allow for further economic development. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
The push was made during the meeting between Prime Minister Hun Sen and the party's Central Committee Secretary of the Chairman of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee, Do Van Chien, at the Peace Palace on Friday morning. Cambodia and Vietnam have already set up at 84% of the land border by 2022. Prime Minister Hun Sen has expressed his satisfaction with the result and agreed with the Vietnamese side to set up a remaining border post as soon as possible. The Prime Minister's personal assistant, Srai Tam Rong, told reporters after the meeting that the two sides agreed and urged to continue to erect the remaining 16% of the border post as soon as possible, to allow the two countries to promote peace and stability and to make it easier for people from both countries to meet up and help each other, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, turning difficult times into potential and using all available means to expand business volume to even better. Cambodia and Vietnam have established relations since 1967, thus far lasting for 55 years. Cambodia shares a land border with Vietnam that is 1,270 kilometres long. The process is to demarcate the border between the two countries between 2006. Prime Minister Hun Sen addressed the National Assembly on the 9th of August 2012 and spent more than 5 hours explaining the border issue between Cambodia and Vietnam, dating back to the French colonial period when no border posts had been erected yet and only administrative boundaries were established. He stressed that the first and foremost duty of the obligation of the royal government is to protect the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as the rights and duties of every Cambodian citizen. At the time, he said that patriotism and territory is not exclusive right for any individual or political party alone. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
The Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces and the Commander of the Royal Cambodian Army, Lieutenant General Hun Manait, met with the military representatives of South Korea and the Philippines on Thursday, 28th July. The talks between the military representatives are expected to be a positive sign of further strengthening military ties between the three countries. EAC News reporter Dashana Gochin has more.
During the meeting with the counter-terrorism delegation of the Philippine Army Special Operations Command, led by Brigadier General Monico Estoesta Abang on Thursday, a joint training session was planned with the Army Special Operations Command of the Philippines in the near future. The counter-terrorism delegation of the Philippine Army Special Operations Command expressed optimism to Lieutenant General Hun Manait that the joint training plan between the two countries' armies could go smoothly due to the good training location that Cambodia's 70th Brigade has, with the right infrastructure and equipment for training. In response, Lieutenant General Hun Manait praised the achievements made in the connection between the 70th Brigade of the Cambodian Army and the Philippine Army Special Operations Command, especially in reaching an agreement on the joint training course that is scheduled to launch soon. He said, "The progress of such a relationship is a good start to the connection between the tactical units and could pave the way for further joint training sessions on an annual basis." The joint training between the forces of the 70th Brigade, the Army of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces, and the forces of the Counter-Terrorism Battalion of the Philippine Army Special Operations Command, scheduled to run in the near future, is part of the implementation plan on the direction of the bilateral cooperation agreed upon by Lieutenant General Hun Manait with Lieutenant General Macairog Alberto and Lieutenant General Cirilito Sobejana, the former commander of the Philippine Army, in order to open the door for communication between the two countries. Also on Thursday, the new military attaché of the Republic of Korea also met with Lieutenant General Hun Manait. The South Korean ambassador to Cambodia, Park Hung-kyung, recalled Prime Minister Hun Sen's efforts to re-establish official diplomatic ties between the two countries in 1997 after being severed during the Khmer Rouge regime. He said, "Starting from this base, the cooperation between the two countries over the past 25 years has developed in all areas, including trade, investment, education, military, demining, and health." As for the military, he also noted the importance of establishing a regular dialogue mechanism to ensure the stability of relations. Lieutenant General Hun Manait spoke about the development of relations in all fields between Cambodia and South Korea and stressed the need to maintain good relations, especially cooperation in the field of the military, like between the armies of the two countries, which has achieved fruitful results in the past. He also expressed the hope that with the support of the embassy and the office of the Korean military attaché in Cambodia, relations at the military level will be further strengthened and expanded, especially through an increase of direct communication between army units. Prime Minister Hun Sen formally re-initiated relations between Cambodia and Korea in 1997. Over the past 25 years, bilateral relations between the two countries have reached a new high, with boosting trade, investment, tourism, and development assistance cooperation, which can be further seen in many fields ranging from the political to the economic. Darshana Gochin, EAC News.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. And finally, the Saudi Arabian government has released designs for its futuristic linear city called The Line, which is envisioned as a vertically constructed smart city with no roads or cars, expected to run entirely on renewable energy.
The Line was first announced back in 2021 by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as part of the country's ambitious $500 billion NEOM project. The released designs of the city show that the line is planned to be 200 meters wide, 500 meters tall, and 170 kilometers long, and is expected to house around 9 million residents. The Saudi prince has said the city's vertically layered communities will challenge the traditional flat, horizontal cities and embody how urban communities will be in the future in an environment free from roads, cars, and emissions. The concept of layered communities would mean that all facilities are just a 5-minute walk away, and residents would be able to organically bump into one another while running their daily errands. The line would also feature a high-speed rail, taking only 20 minutes to go from one end of the city to the other. Plans to build the smart city in the northwest Tabuka province of Saudi Arabia have, however, been mired with controversy. Many have cast doubt on whether the project is feasible or have criticized its elitist nature, calling it a dystopian vision of future community living. Most controversially, the larger NEOM megacity project is expected to displace around 20,000 people, primarily from the Huaytat indigenous community. In 2020, a prominent Huaytat activist was arrested and imprisoned following a refusal to relocate, according to Al Jazeera. The tribe has called on the United Nations to investigate the forced displacement and abuse inflicted by the Saudi authorities, following months of alleged harassment, arrests, and abductions.
President Xi sent a blunt message on Taiwan in candid phone call with Biden. Taiwan is a part of China, and the 1.4 billion Chinese will not tolerate any challenges to the country's national sovereignty and territorial integrity, President Xi Jinping told his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden in a phone call on Thursday. Xi's warnings comes amid reports that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is preparing to visit the island next month, something Beijing has warned her against.
According to the readout, Xi also told Biden that the U.S. approach to China as the primary rival, strategic competitor, and a security challenge would be misperceiving China-U.S. relations and misreading China's development, adding that U.S. attempts at decoupling or severing supply chains in defiance of underlying laws would not help its economy, but only make the world economy more vulnerable. China and the U.S. need to uphold the international system centering on the UN and the international order underpinned by international law, said Xi, who also reiterated China's principled position on the crisis in Ukraine. The much shorter White House readout of the call did not mention Ukraine or the specifics of economic discussions, instead singling out the issues of climate change and health security. It did, however, say that the call was part of the Biden administration's efforts to maintain and deepen lines of communication between the United States and the PRC, and responsibly manage our differences and work together where interests align. When it comes to Taiwan, Biden underscored that the U.S. policy has not changed and that the U.S. strongly opposes unilateral efforts to change the status quo or undermine peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, according to the White House. Tensions between China and the U.S. have escalated in recent weeks after reports that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi intended to take a congressional delegation to Taiwan in August. Pelosi has neither confirmed nor denied the trip. Asked about it earlier this month, Biden said the U.S. military thought it was not a good idea right now. China has grown far more powerful militarily and economically since then, and the White House says the administration has been in touch with Pelosi's office to make sure she has all the context she needs to make decisions about her travel. Since then, however, the Pentagon has reportedly developed a contingency plan to send additional ships and fighter jets to the region. Meanwhile, Chinese officials threaten the U.S. with unbearable consequences should Pelosi go forward with her visit, and some pundits even advocated attacking Taiwan in response to such a provocation. Biden stressed the importance of maintaining lines of communication on Taiwan, and the two also discussed areas where there was the potential to expand cooperation, including climate change, health security, and counter-narcotics, the official said. While highlighting Taiwan, Xi also stressed that the world's two largest economies needed to maintain communication on macroeconomic policies, global supply chains, and safeguarding global food and energy security, China's readout said. The senior U.S. official also emphasized the importance of macroeconomic coordination. Taiwan has been ruled by the nationalist Kuomintang, who found refuge on the island after losing the civil war to the communists in 1949 and leaving the mainland with U.S. help.
Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram, Smart TV, or at your favorite app store. More from EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. See you then.